Bitcoin is currently crashing, and everyone's wondering, are we officially in a bear market? Well, it's not just Bitcoin crashing today. Literally trillions of dollars have been wiped out of every market this morning. Gold, silver, stocks, they're all crashing. We will cover all the macro in a moment. But first, let's start with Bitcoin. Are we in a bear market? That's the real question. And I think it depends what you're looking at. It depends what you're pricing Bitcoin in that is probably making you feel concerned and scared. So let's start with probably what everyone's looking at, which is, of course, Bitcoin priced in dollars. So here we are, the current Bitcoin price in dollars. It is what, 84.7. We had a red morning. This is the monthly. So I'll put it on the daily for you guys. You can see we had, I think it was like a 5% drop this morning. Yeah, about a 5% drop, and everyone's freaking out. Now, when I look at it in dollar terms, it's kind of doing what I said it was going to do. Where, yes, we got this whole sell-off, huge liquidations, October 10th, November, I believe it was 16th or November 6th. I keep messing those up. And we've gone sideways since then. So in dollar terms, yes, we got a drop. Yes, we got a crash. It's a 5% drop. I literally tweeted the Bane meme, you guys, you adopted the darkness. I was forged in the darkness. In dollar terms, you're like, okay, it is what it is. Now, I have been seeing people call for 60, 70K drop. We do know the 50 week moving average is around like 58K, gang. So maybe 58K, gang, is going to have one more chance of glory. But in dollar terms, personally, in dollar terms, I'm like, okay, it's doing what I said it was going to do. It hit this bottom. It's going to go sideways. I'm not really panicked when it goes in dollar terms. This 5% drop literally means nothing to me. That's kind of how I'm looking at it. So in that sense, maybe we've been in a bear market. Again, maybe 2025 was the bear market, even though we all thought, hey, it was going to be a parabolic bull run. But I think the real interesting aspect of this is if you're looking at Bitcoin priced in gold, we've already been in a bear market for over a year. You can see here, again, the start of 2025, priced in gold, we're in a bear market. We're literally back at prices of Bitcoin priced in gold that we haven't seen since 2017. We're hanging on by a thread at the 2017 top of Bitcoin priced in gold. So again, as I've been saying, Bitcoin priced in gold, it's definitely in a bear market, but this is where it does get a little interesting. Are we officially entering the bear market? If you're looking at Bitcoin priced in dollars, then you're probably like, yeah, we're entering the bear market. There's a lot more room to fall. But if you're looking at it priced in gold, which I think is what we should be doing, pricing Bitcoin in hard money, as we like to say, that would be Bitcoin priced in gold. Now, this is where it gets interesting. The average Bitcoin bear market priced in gold is roughly 14 months. And we are on the 14th month right now. So who knows how much lower it can go priced in gold, especially, which might be the more bearish case, especially if we see gold continue to run and Bitcoin keeps dropping. Bitcoin priced in gold could drop a little lower by the end of this month. We got a couple of days left. Okay. We got a couple of days left. Wouldn't be panicking. In my opinion, if you're pricing Bitcoin in gold, I think we might have seen the worst. We can put the worst behind us. But again, got to keep that number in mind. Bitcoin priced in gold, we've been in a bear market for 14 months. Historically, the bear market priced in gold is 14 months. So maybe that's the little dose of hopium for you guys today. Maybe it's not we are entering in a bear market. Maybe we're exiting a bear market. Now, if that's the case, then now is a good time to be buying, right? Now, I'm not going to tell you guys to buy this dip right now. I'm not going to tell you to go catch falling knives right now. I think right now might be a good time to just kind of sit on your hands. If you do have some fiat, I'd wait to see what happens with the price a little bit. Again, there's a lot of economic uncertainty. We really don't know why the price is dropping right now, to be completely blunt. And it's not just Bitcoin, it's every markets are crashing right now. I think the main consensus right now is because the Fed kind of paused on rates. I think there's just a lot of economic uncertainty. A lot of people don't know what to make of that. And this is why we're seeing gold reprice, silver reprice, equities or stocks getting absolutely nuked. And this is where the fun goes. This is where it starts getting fun, because it's not just a Bitcoin problem. And when you look at Bitcoin, a lot of times we do get hyper focused and we're like, Bitcoin's crashing, it's over for us. It's like, no, this is literally market wide. So I know you guys love memes. So I'm going to start with a meme here. Shouts out to Crypto Fergani. And he goes, we're so tired of winning, Mr. President. And this is the heat map. Literally everything is red today. Okay, guys, everything is red. It's a bloodbath out there this morning. So what's the old saying? When there's blood on the streets, that's when you buy. Well, apparently right now, all of us are bleeding. So everything's bleeding here. So you can't really make this out to just being a Bitcoin problem. I think that kind of leads into the whole idea that Bitcoin is a macro asset right now. Bitcoin is responding to what's going on globally in geopolitics and in macroeconomics. So I think this is probably what we're seeing. And I do have a good clip from Jack Mallers. Shouts out to Jack Mallers. He did a really good edit, and I think it's going to sum up where we are right now. I'll play that in the numbers. Now, going further, here we go. Bull Theory on Twitter just goes, massive crash in the markets. Gold is down 8.2% and has wiped out nearly $3 trillion. Literally, what? Almost 2 Bitcoin market caps in an hour. Silver has dumped 12%, about 780 billion. S&P 500's fallen 1.23%. Again, another 780 billion. NASDAQ crashed about 2.5%, wiped out 760 billion. Trillions erased across metals and equities in the last hour. So I'll go back here. Let's do a live update. We'll look at what's going on with gold currently. Here's the daily. You know, at least Bitcoin doesn't look this bad right now, though it did retrace a little bit. So I don't know if you guys watched gold this morning, but it did get close to 5,600 this morning. It went up to, 5,600. It dumped to about $5,000. Currently, it's at 5,300. So it's retraced. It's recovered a little bit. Now, let's go to silver, because obviously the last couple of weeks, gold, silver has been on historic runs. And silver did something very similar. It had a high of 121, which is, again, unprecedented. We've never seen this before. It had a low of 106. It's currently at 114. So, yes, they had some pretty aggressive price movements, but they seem to have recovered. Now, this is where I think it gets very interesting. And I was having this conversation with Luke this morning. It is this whole idea of like, where are we right now? Is precious metals, is gold and silver telling us something about the fiat system right now? Is this a debt crisis? Is this the debasement trade happening in real time? Is this showing us that the dollar is about to collapse, or rather fiat currencies are about to collapse? And this is where the conversation, I think, does get a little more speculative, but also a little more interesting. My framing of this is like, are we watching hyperinflation happen in real time? Is this what we're seeing right now? Is the volatility that we're seeing in gold and silver right now just quintessential hyperinflation, interchange daily moves, the volatility in price? And this is where I think a lot of people are kind of picking up on this kind of movement. Here we got James Lavish, and he goes, Houston, we have a problem. Gold is traded to $5,598 and back to $5,097 so far today. That is a roughly 10% move in just a few hours in gold. Gold's almost looking like a shit coin. Gold spot up 10%, sideways, down 10%. Now it's probably covered somewhere around this area. And this is where you start to ask yourself, we've seen this happen before. specifically about 100 years ago. And this is, again, where you start to ask yourself, is this hyperinflationary scenarios? Is this what we're happening? Is this what we're seeing happen in real time? And Luke Roman, though, Luke did kind of get super bearish on Bitcoin. A lot of people are saying is because he sold his Bitcoin, and so he's becoming a doomer on Bitcoin. But he's pulling up the Weimar chart of gold priced in Weimar marks. And he goes 10% intraday move in gold, you say. And here's the historic chart that we've all seen. Black line gold priced in Weimar marks. You can see going parabolic, which, again, does kind of look like what we've seen in gold here. Let me pull that up again. Gold, it's absolutely going parabolic. Now, is this the start? Is this the end? No one really knows. That's where the speculation comes in. But you're looking at this and you're like, maybe we're at like a 1919 type. And though this isn't just one country hyperinflating, which is more of the scary scenario, this is a global hyperinflationary scenario. Basically, all fiat currencies hyperinflating against gold. Again, so black line is the price of gold in Weimar marks. And the red line is the percentage change, which is what Luke Roman is really referencing. It's like, okay, 10% volatility intraday. This is the red line basically going crazy. And if you're looking at this chart, 0 to 80% would be roughly what, 1921-ish, 1922. So if we're kind of looking at this chart again, we're speculating, we're literally just making guesses. This could get way more crazy than we even believe if this is where we are. And so maybe 1918, 1919, maybe that's where we are currently. Obviously, none of us really knows, but I do like this tweet from our boy Luke. Luke did a pretty good tweet on here, and he's a little, I would say, probably more bearish than I am. I was telling him maybe it's 1918, maybe 1919 if we're trying to look at historical representations of where we are. Here's Luke's take on it. He says, we are officially in the melt-up phase. Buckle in. Now, are we in the melt-up phase, or is this the beginning of the melt-up phase? He says officially in it. To me, it feels like we're in the beginning of it. But his take is 2025 is 1922. The price of gold in U.S. dollars is following what the price of gold priced in German marks did during the 1923 hyperinflation. The only difference is we're operating on a 6x lag, meaning the 1922 to 1923 parabolic melt-up will unfold between 2025 and 2031. Do you have some Bitcoin? So I want to go back here. Personally, if I'm looking at the intraday volatility here, I would say that we are closer to 1918 if we are seeing a global hyperinflationary scenario on fiat currencies, which it does seem to be the case. I think this is what gold running, this is what silver's running has been telling us. The fact that central banks now are literally holding more gold than their own debt when treasuries have been usually the least risky thing to hold, I think is telling you a lot about people's confidence in paper money. We're starting to see paper money is maybe, I don't want to say on its deathbed. I don't really believe in the dollar collapse theory. I think it was going to be, actually, my given was it was going to take a while. Now, with what we saw gold do in the last couple of months, what we saw silver do, maybe we are in an acceleration phase. Maybe that's where we currently are. But if I'm looking at this again, history doesn't repeat, but it often does rhyme. Personally, we're probably in this 1918. That's kind of my view here, which means that gold, silver can run even higher. Obviously, now we have Bitcoin as a new technology, and I think that is going to, sorry guys, I'm fighting another cold today. I don't know what's going on, so I'm struggling a little bit here, but I think we could see gold, silver run higher for longer. We can see obviously Bitcoin eventually catch up to that. But it is pretty intense timing right now. It's I think one of the most interesting times to be in the market right now. I think there's a lot of money to be made out there. And right now, if you're looking at the Bitcoin price, again, I don't want to tell you to catch knives right now. I don't want to tell you to buy all the dips currently because we could be seeing it dip more. But right now is a good time to stack some dollars, maybe sit on your hands, deploy this once we know what is actually going on, once this uncertainty kind of fades in the markets. Because, again, if you're just looking at the Bitcoin price, especially now that Bitcoin is a macro asset, I think you're missing a lot of the information. For a long time, you could just look at the Bitcoin price and you didn't really have to factor in anything going on in the macro. But now, I think that's changed. Bitcoin's going up. Bitcoin's in the conversation. Bitcoin is in the big boys table now. Yes, maybe we're at the very end of the big boys table, but we are now a part of the macro conversation. So we can't ignore what's going on in macroeconomics and geopolitics. It's grown up. The very people that are completely involved and driving the macro cycle are now tentatively getting into Bitcoin. So this is why I think we have to pay attention to what's going on with macro. And Jack Mahler's in a minute. I'm going to play a clip of his. He, I think, perfectly sums this up. So when you're looking at Bitcoin right now, we do have to look at a broader factors, a broader market here, which is what goes on in gold, silver, equities, bonds, because those are the macro assets. And as we see, every market has melted down today. Now, we don't really know what this reason is. Obviously, everyone likes to pinpoint a specific reason why the markets are melting down. You could say that it's potentially the fact that the Fed didn't cut rates. I don't know, Trump did a tweet literally this morning, probably right before all of this action happened. Again, saying bad stuff about too late Powell, saying he needs to cut interest rates. We need to have lower interest rates. And could that have been the cascading, initial domino to fall to make all of the markets melt down? The timing is kind of correlated. He did tweet this, or rather Truth posted this morning at like 7:54 a.m. right before the markets open. We're seeing market turmoil today. So this isn't just a Bitcoin problem. This is a all markets problem, which is where it gets a little more interesting, because apparently we are going to see an emergency meeting from Trump. I first saw this on Twitter. I did, dive in a little deeper. We are going to get a Trump announcement later on today. The rumor is it will be about economics. So is Trump going to go out there and talk about the new Fed chair proposal? Are we going to learn today who the new Fed chair is going to be, so that now the markets are feeling little less stressed out, because now we can plan for the future? But I do like the tweet here. I would expect more wild volatility in the markets. And just if you think this is fake news, I did go over here to rollcall.com. I looked for this official announcement on the whitehouse.gov. I couldn't find it. Here is Trump's schedule for today. He's in a meeting right now. And then later at 4:30 p.m., I believe Eastern time, the president will be making an announcement. And again, the rumor, or rather what we've been told on the back end, what it's going to be, it is going to be an economic announcement. So a lot of people were talking about yesterday that what Trump could do to really kind of deflate Powell's moment is him announcing very quickly who the next Fed chair will be. Obviously, Jerome Powell still has about until April to maintain his position, to not cut any more rates. But we might be hearing later today who the Fed chair is. Or if we hear something else, that's going to be even more interesting. That's going to be, I think, more injection of volatility in the markets right now. So again, is Bitcoin officially in a bear market? I think it really depends what you're pricing it in. In gold, we've been in one for over a year. We could be at the very end of a bear market. If you're pricing in Bitcoin, it's a 5% drop. We are still going sideways as of the moment. You could argue, again, we've been in a bear market since 2025, or at the very least since the end of last year. So personally, the charts look ugly. Full disclosure. I just showed them to you. I'm looking at them. The charts look ugly. Everyone's freaking out about what's going on right now. Every market right now is having turmoil. Every market is selling down. But I think 2026, we are still going to see some fireworks, which I have been saying on the show for I guess since the beginning of the year, that we could potentially see a huge drawdown in Bitcoin, not necessarily a bear market, but we could get down lower. But I still think by the end of the year, we will be a lot higher. Hence why I'm saying right now, look, I have no fiat left. I have no more money to buy dips. So I'm with you guys in the chat. At this point, we've bought in every dip, and it just kept dipping. So I would venture to say that probably the best thing to do is, obviously, as we always say, you just DCA weekly, monthly, whatever works for you, daily, by $1, $2 a day, $21 a day, whatever works for you. You just DCA, you accumulate, you don't care about the price, take that into cold storage. That's obviously one of the tried and true strategies. The other strategy, which is more of a lump sum strategy, is don't catch the falling knives. Wait till you see a good buying opportunity, buy a bunch of Bitcoin with a chunk of dollars. And that's usually, I think when you look at the data, I think lump sum buying is probably a little more profitable than DCAing, but some of us don't have the discipline to lump sum buy, which is me. If I have dollars, I'm either burning through them or I'm buying Bitcoin. I'm either capitulating my dollars as quickly as possible into Bitcoin, or, I buy a good steak and some whiskey. That's just how I work, okay? So, interesting times to say the least. Actually, maybe I get a little pulse reading. Don't buy gold, it goes up in price, yeah. Let's see. This is the chop to all-time high, the Q2 2026 bull market. Yeah, I do have no more money, dude. I'm broke. I am broke. Ron B, I ran out of money to buy dips in 2018. Chad. People are saying price suppression. This is a super cycle. Look, this is what we were born for, okay? Opti, are you broke? Yeah, dude. I'm totally broke. I'm fiat broke, okay? I'm fiat broke, all right? I need to pay bills. Actually, it's the end of the month. It's the end of the month. I need to pay bills. Let's plug on the show. You guys are funny. So yeah, dude, guys, it is interesting times, like unprecedented times, I would say. So we're seeing precious metals run. I don't think this completely invalidates Bitcoin running as well. And on that note, I am going to move into the Jack Mallers clip because it really ties into where we are right now. And I don't know if you guys saw my Twitter. Like I said it. This is what we were born for. We were molded in the darkness. I was created in the 2018 bear market. That's where I was forged. That's where my hodl, that's where my Bitcoin Zen, that's where my Bitcoin maxiness was created, in the 2018 bear market. So at a certain point, I'm kind of okay with volatility. The sideways action was killing me. I need volatility in my life, whether that's down and I'm on the roller coaster ride and I'm dropping, or we are up. Now, I think this year we're going to see both, considering all the, craziness we're watching in the world. So I'm going to move into the numbers. I have a good Jack Mallers clip. He just dropped this. I think it's great timing for what we are watching right now, for what I just covered. And then in the news, we got some updates coming out of portion of the Clarity Act. I guess you could say this is some bullish stuff, but seemingly every time we get some bullish news coming out, Bitcoin keeps dropping. So maybe we need some negative news right now. And then in the numbers, I didn't get a chance to really digest everything that Jay Powell said yesterday, but he did make some very interesting comments after I stopped the show, which I do want to cover on today's show. So first ad break, I will be right back, and we're going to play, I guess I could say, a motivational Jack Mallers clip to, not necessarily give you hopium, but maybe kind of give you a framework of where we currently are in the market. So I'll be right back.
Today's episode is brought to you by Bitcoin Well Infinite. If you're a serious Bitcoin buyer, you've probably hit the same wall. Most platforms make you give up custody just to play by the rules. Bitcoin Well Infinite fixes that. They're North America's only publicly traded, non-custodial OTC desk listed on the TSX Venture Exchange, which means transparent operations and zero counterparty risk.
You buy Bitcoin, you take immediate control, period. For trades over $50,000, you get a dedicated executive Bitcoin advisor, competitive spread starting at 1%, and immediate delivery straight to your own wallet. No custody risk, no withdrawal fees, just institutional grade execution with full asset control. If you want to buy Bitcoin the right way, book a free consultation at bitcoinwell.com/OTC or email infinite@bitcoinwell.com.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, StampSeed. Is your Bitcoin in cold storage really secure? Are your seed phrases really secure? StampSeed's do-it-yourself kit has everything you'll need for you to hammer your seed words into commercial-grade titanium plates instead of just writing them down on paper. Paper is fragile. Titanium plates are strong. Your words are actually stamped into the titanium plate with this hammer and these letter stamping tools. Once the words are in, they aren't going anywhere. No risk of the plate breaking apart and pieces falling everywhere. Titanium stamp seeds will survive nearly triple the heat produced by a house fire. They're also crush-proof, waterproof, non-corrosive, and time-proof. And now you can customize your titanium seed plates. You can upload your design or logo and they will laser engrave it on the back of your seed plate, the opposite side of where the words are. Stamp your seed on StampSeed and use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on the stampseed.com store.
Oh, chat, you guys are funny. Look, guys, there's no risk of me living under the freeway, okay? My fun pretty good, all right? Anyways, the current Bitcoin price is $84,060, which is a 33.1% discount from all-time high. Looks like we could not hold on to the $1.8 trillion market cap. We are currently at $1.69 trillion market cap, and the current block height is 934,244. Now, at times like this, you got to reframe your thing. You know, every bear market here, before I play this, every bear market is really where the true soldiers are tested. It's really where you remind yourself where we are, what we're doing, what the point of all of this is. And I'm not saying we necessarily are in a bear market, but we're getting Jack Mallers posting like we are in a bear market. And this is a really good clip. I think it sums up what we are seeing in all the markets in Bitcoin right now. It really redirects our North Star, our compass here of what is going on, what should we be watching for, and what is happening in gold and silver. So I'm going to play this real quick. I think this is going to get you guys, if you need a little bit of hopium today, because the first part was a little doomerish, besides the fact that maybe we're getting out of a bear market. Here is your hopium. This is why you hodl. This is why you're going to make it. Really good clip. I'll be right back.
People have come and said, I need Bitcoin to be faster. I need Bitcoin to do this. I need Bitcoin to go up. I need Bitcoin to stop crashing. Bitcoin doesn't give a f about you. You're welcome to ride Bitcoin's ride. But Bitcoin's going on its own time, at its own pace. And you're either okay with that or you're wrecked. So where are we today? Bitcoin is not competing with sovereign paper. It's not competing with US treasuries. It's not competing in that market right now. It's just not. It's not big enough. We're getting there. We got the ETFs. We're growing. Well, there's a literal strategic reserve from the United States of America. We could pass the Bitcoin Act and be on our way to owning 1 million Bitcoins as a country. We are getting there. You're talking to the guy that helped the first country adopt Bitcoin in El Salvador. I thought I was going to die at one point. Like, we're working on it, but we're not there. I would say gold is competing with sovereign paper. Gold is competing with treasuries. Gold, for that reason, front runs liquidity. Bitcoin, right now, today, is competing with risk assets. Bitcoin's competing with equities and growth. Bitcoin doesn't front run liquidity. It responds to actual liquidity. That's why gold leads. Gold anticipates the liquidity. Bitcoin responds to the liquidity. Bitcoin sells off when markets get tight, and Bitcoin rips your face off when they print the money. That's just where we are today. I'm cool with that. I've been in this game for a long time. I know Bitcoin. I know it well. If you can't be here for these times, then you don't get the gains.
Let's go. Hey, first of all, dude, I want to know who edits those. The edits are great. Shouts out to Jack Mahler's editors. Those are good. I think the reason I want to play that is obviously it was a little motivational. Maybe you need a little more motivation this morning. Maybe you're worn out. You know, I think everyone right now is the "I'm tired boss" meme right now. We expected a lot more. And the beginning of that clip is like perfect framing. Bitcoin does what it does on its own time. We're just riding the wave here, you know? So that's where you really want to kind of enhance your Bitcoin Zen. It's where you just be like, hey man, I'm a Bitcoiner. I'm going to stack Bitcoin. I'm going to accumulate. I'm going to make sure I have some money to buy Bitcoin. I'm going to make sure I'm making more money so I can buy some Bitcoin. Continue to do this. We're going to be doing this for a long time. But the real signal, I think, was at the very end of that, where, as we all know, gold is a hard money. It's basically the gram. It's the unk in the room. You know, Bitcoin's still the baby here. But we are essentially playing the same game, though maybe we are in different races. And I love the framing of gold responds to the idea of liquidity. It front runs liquidity, which I think in the current moment is exactly what we're seeing. Gold, silver going up. Yes, central banks are acquiring it, but it's really because everyone has this concern about shifting from QT to QE. We're all wondering what's going to go on with interest rates. We're all seeing the dollar Dixie go down, the dollar strength go down. We're all kind of preparing for the money printer to go on. I've been saying for a while, the money printer hasn't turned on yet. It is just starting to warm up. We're just starting to lay the foundation that is what's going to happen. So again, gold is front running the liquidity, hence what we're seeing. And I think as we've seen the last couple of weeks, that gold is essentially, I think, people calling the bluff of fiat currency. They're calling the bluff that we know they're going to continue to print. But the added framing there of Bitcoin responds to actual liquidity in the system, we're still waiting for that. And maybe that's why Bitcoin has been in a coma for the last year or so. Yes, there's been a lot of semi-good news. Actually, last year is probably the most bullish news cycle on Bitcoin. But did we actually get liquidity? Not really. We got a lot of rumors that it was going to happen. We got a lot of conversations that they were, kind of changing their tune. And therefore, halfway through the year, gold started ripping because of this idea of front running liquidity. Hence why gold's running. Hence why gold, silver are doing their thing. Really, all commodities are running today, which is, maybe not today, but have been running. Gold, silver, platinum, palladium, copper, all the commodities are running. Front running the liquidity. Now we're just waiting for the money printers to turn on. And I think as we've been seeing in the price movements, market cap movements of gold, literally gold's losing multiples of the Bitcoin market cap in an hour. We've seen gold add multiple Bitcoin market caps over a span of a couple of weeks. I think once the liquidity gets turned on, we might be seeing multiples of the Bitcoin market cap in weeks as well. Maybe the classic Bitcoin pumps in 10, 12 days meme might come back on the table, and we just completely forgot that that's the case. I know the diminishing returns meme has really caught in people's minds, saying, Bitcoin's too big. It can't move like that. Gold and silver completely blew that narrative out of the water. I actually saw a good meme today, or rather it was a tweet. It said something on the lines of, you guys all wanted the 4-year cycle to end. and now you got it. You guys all wanted the diminishing returns meme to end, and now you got it. It's like, what are you complaining about? I'm having a good time. Yes, I know price isn't doing what I want it to do. But the more I have friends text me of like, yo, what's going on? You know, Selfie's running around here with the with the new baby again as the Penelope Cruz in Blow moment. Like, where are we going to live? Like, this sucks. She's texting us like, what is going on? This sucks. And I'm just laughing. I'm having a good time. This is fun, man. We were forged in the darkness. This is what we were meant to do. Yeah, guys, you guys are funny. Chat's funny. I'm not giggling, dude, because I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Like I said a minute ago, I think I'm getting another cold. I don't know what's going on. My sinuses are messed up. I don't know if I feel like I got hit by a truck because I was at the gym yesterday, or am I catching something again? The weather's been so weird down here, guys. It's like 80 degrees on Monday. Now it's like 50, 40 degrees in the morning. I'm still struggling with my environment down here. So I'm cooked, guys. I'm cooked. Okay. I know I'm trying to just make it through the day. Okay, guys. I'm trying to make it through the day here today. And it doesn't make it better that the price is dumping, or rather that all markets are melting down right now. Who knows what we're going to see later today? I am actually, well, I was going to say I'm actually going to watch the Trump announcement, but full transparency, full disclosure, I might be taking a nap during it today. So we'll respond to what he said yesterday. Hopefully something happens later. Yeah, it's called a winter off. Dude, there's no winter down here. All right, anyways. Dude is like a constant panic attack. No, dude, I literally never get sick. It's something about South Florida I need to adjust. I had an adjustment period when I was in Texas. I'm still in that adjustment period. Anyways, enough of me complaining. Enough of my life, my sickness. You guys don't care. Going to the news, we're gonna get, I guess, a pun intended, a little clarity on the Clarity Act.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, Ledin, the leader in Bitcoin-backed loans. Unlock the liquidity in your Bitcoin without having to sell your Bitcoin. They've issued $9 billion in loans to over 10,000 customers since 2018. I absolutely love these guys. Not only do I have an account with them, but I also have a loan. And what I love about them is that there are no monthly payments, and you could pay back the loan at any time. As soon as you send your Bitcoin as collateral, you'll have cash in your account within 24 hours. Over 1,000 five-star customer reviews, and they've never lost a single dollar or sat of customer money. Go to learn.ledin.io/simply today, and you'll get 0.25% off your first loan. I want to give a shout out to our partner, sat123.com. Sovereignty isn't just about your money. It's about your communications too. When the grid goes down, most people go dark. Cell towers fail in hurricanes, cyber attacks, and blackouts. But satellite phones? They don't rely on local infrastructure. Iridium has 77 satellites in orbit, giving you a direct line anywhere in the US, even offshore. If you hold your own Bitcoin keys, you should hold your own comms too. Sat123.com also has everything you need to start building your Bitcoin citadel. Starlink, battery backups, Faraday bags to protect your hardware wallets, and much, much more. It's a one-stop shop for anyone serious about resilience and off-grid independence. Stay connected, stay independent, stay sovereign. Go to sat123.com/simply today and use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on the store. I want to give a shout out to our partner, BitKey. If you already self-custody your Bitcoin, you know the deal with hardware wallets by now. Complex setups, clumsy interfaces, and a seed phrase that can be lost, stolen, or forgotten. BitKey fixes that. BitKey is a multi-sig hardware wallet built by the team behind Square and Cash App. It packs a cryptographic recovery system and built-in inheritance feature into an intuitive, easy-to-use wallet with no seed phrase to sweat over. It's simple, secure, self-custody without the stress. Time named BitKey one of the best inventions of 2024. Get 20% off at bitkey.world. That's BITKEY.world with the code SIMPLY.
Jeez, I'm getting trolled on Rumble. I'm getting trolled on Rumble for needing. Look, hey guys, I love naps. All right, naps are great. I can't believe we're hating on naps in the big year 226 or 2026. In the big year of 2026, we are hating on naps. Naps are great. I'm a boomer. Okay. Anyways, here we go. This was this morning. Eleanor Terrett, again, highly recommend you guys follow her. She's doing really good work. Formerly at Fox Business. Now she is covering the crypto markets. Again, crypto markets. She just tweeted this morning, or rather right before we started the show. Happening now, the Senate AG committee is convening to mark up its portion of the Clarity Act, with Chairman John Boozman kicking off proceedings. He says the markup is a culmination of months of bipartisan work, and that while conversations were cordial and substantive, quote, fundamental policy disagreements remain. But, quote, now it's time to move this process forward. Excuse me, guys. And he goes, ranking member Senator Amy Klobuchar, I believe, sorry if I butchered that, explains why Democrats aren't in full support of the bill yet. Quote, the progress that has been made here is good, but I think we believe that we're not quite done yet. Klobuchar says sticking points are ethics regarding public officials and protecting the independence of the CFTC and strengthening consumer protections. It continues. Senator Cory Booker, the leading Dem negotiator on the bill, called putting together the November bipartisan text with John Boozman, quote, one of his better experiences in the Senate. Now, Booker claims Republicans for, quote, walking away from the bipartisan process that produced a draft produced in November when the Senate came back from Christmas break. Quote, to be clear, the product book before us today is not the bipartisan draft that we're working on. It was negotiated with two parties at the table, but it isn't in accord with the principles we laid out in November in a bipartisan way. So the initial reading this morning was like, okay, you know, the Senate AG, they're probably not going to pass this markup on the Clarity Act. Let's go back to the table. It really made me feel like this isn't going to happen. It's like, we're never going to get the Clarity Act. We're never going to get, quote, regulatory clarity. And surprisingly enough, the U.S. Senate committee passes the Bitcoin and crypto market structure bill. They pass their portion of the Clarity Act. Here is Senator Lummis's response. She goes, great to see digital asset market structure pass Senate AG GOP. We are one step closer to getting this legislation to Trump's desk, and I look forward to continuing to work closely with my colleagues across the aisle to make America the digital asset capital of the world. So it looks like they passed part of it. Here we go. I'm glad I looked at Eleanor's Twitter. She goes, this has just passed its portion of the Clarity Act out of the committee on a 12-11 party line vote with no Democrats voting in favor. So just by a slim margin, it got pushed through. I guess it's moving forward, even though after speculation that we weren't going to see anything move. So I guess we're seeing a little bit of action out of, Washington. I don't know, guys. I'm pretty burnt out on the Clarity Act. I'm pretty burnt out on regulatory clarity at this point. From all of the conversations we were seeing, it seems like it's going to be a monstrosity. It's probably going to be worse than if we have no bill. But apparently they worked through some of that. Now we'll see what happens later on. Is this why Bitcoin's dumping right now? There was a lot of concern this morning whether it was the price going down because of them going into vote on this, maybe the uncertainty over whether it was going to pass or not. That's been what a lot of people have been saying, that once the Clarity Act passes, then we will be able to resume the bull market. Wow, we're dumping even more. We're at 83.6. So it doesn't seem like it has affected the price of Bitcoin at all, or rather, the price of Bitcoin into the positive. Is my Wi-Fi messing up? I'm not even on Wi-Fi, guys. I'm in. I'm locked in. Okay. All right. Well, let me the ad break. I'll refresh, and we'll wrap up today's show.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, HIVE Digital Technologies. Fueled by clean energy, HIVE has quadrupled its global Bitcoin mining footprint and channels that same scale into high performance compute, where their AI cloud is now ranked #1 in the world for network performance. At HIVE, you've got dual engines, Bitcoin and AI humming, roaring, accelerating in unison. They're lean and mean, they're green and clean, and they're rewriting the playbook on sustainable digital infrastructure. You can catch the latest buzz at Hive Digital Tech or at hivedigitaltech.com. I want to give a shout out to our partner, bitcoinben.io. If you're into freedom, Bitcoin, and building a real community, this is for you. Gain exclusive access to real-world, members-only, private clubs across the globe, featuring poker nights, expert-led classes, co-working spaces, educational meetups, live events, and more. Current locations include Sarasota, Nashville, Boston, Dallas, Las Vegas, and St. Louis, with new clubs launching soon in West Palm Beach, Scottsdale, Alabama, and beyond. Not to mention Bitcoin Ben's resorts in El Salvador. There's 3 of them, and they're absolutely beautiful. You'll also get access to the first fully backed Bitcoin bank with fiat ramps and savings accounts. It's called Private Key Bank. And you guessed it, it's based out of El Salvador. Go peer-to-peer with Bitcoin bulk buys. Tap into home equity for long-term Bitcoin growth. And join their exclusive mining pools if you're interested in mining. What are you waiting for? Head over to bitcoinben.io. Join today, where Bitcoin meets freedom.
Okay, guys. So, as you guys know, if you were here yesterday, sorry, my throat is wrecked right now. If you were here yesterday, we covered the Fed rates decisions yesterday live at the very end of the show, but that was at 2:00. Usually you get a lot more signal about what the Fed is deciding around 2:30. And that's where we got some interesting clips, some interesting, maybe some tidbits going on. Are they telling us what's going on in the markets, or rather maybe we can read into some of these comments a little more? And I wasn't on long enough for us to really dive into the stuff that Jerome Powell said. So we were watching the 1 minute chart. We saw some volatility on the markets, but it does beg a lot of questions. And I'm going to play one clip. I'm going to read one more comment, and then I'll kind of give you what, in my opinion, may be going on. And I'm going to pair a couple of the recent interviews ideas together. So first off, we got this clip of Jerome Powell, and I'm just going to play it for you guys.
So, Claire, as you probably know, we don't comment on the dollar. Really, the administration, especially the Treasury Department, has the job of oversight over the currency and exchange rates and all that. We don't comment on that. It's not our role. So, I have nothing for you.
I mean, what's your view?
Interesting comment, right? Do you see what I'm seeing? So someone, Fed admits the Treasury is taking over the dollar. There's other people saying that the Fed's over, the Treasury is in control of the dollar, and the Fed's kind of the face here. They're the scapegoat here. But it did very clearly sound like Jerome Powell said, hey, we are not in control of the dollar anymore. When you really think about it, everyone kind of looks at the Fed to be in control of the dollar or interest rates. I know their official mandate is, what is it, unemployment and, man, I'm blanking on what their stability, I believe it's what they said. But it sounds like Jerome Powell just completely admitted that the Treasury is in control of the dollar, right? Maybe I'm reading into it. Maybe I'm speculating a little too much. But the other interesting comment that we heard yesterday was this comment. Hold on. I somehow deleted it. Here we go. Zero Hedge tweeted this. Another interesting comment was Jerome Powell basically saying, don't take much macro message from the precious metals. So we're seeing precious metals rip. everyone's wondering, what is this telling us about fiat currencies? Or maybe not everyone. Our niche, people that care about monetary policy, people that understand what monetary policy actually means. So we got two interesting clips coming out of Jerome Powell's speech. One, they don't control the dollar, the Treasury controls the dollar. And two, don't look at what's happening with precious metals. We're not taking much, signal from precious metals exploding, which I think is probably some misdirection, some really good gaslighting here, because when you really connect that with what we covered on yesterday's show of Trump saying, hey, the dollar's doing great, even though we lost 10% of purchasing power, rather 11%, here's, a good breakdown of this. So did Powell and Trump just agree on something? President Trump yesterday said the U.S. dollar is doing great. Fed Chair Powell today says gold rally doesn't mean much macroeconomically. Apparently, it's completely normal when the U.S. dollar loses roughly 11% in 12 months, and gold adds $1,000+ an ounce in 28 days. What a time to be an investor. So maybe they aren't fighting each other. Maybe things are going according to plan. It's very interesting, which this is where I will do, the opti macro kind of perspective here. As you guys know, we had Tom Luongo on last week. We had Simon Dixon on this week. And everyone in the chat for the last couple of weeks, maybe months, it's been like, Opti is my macro quant here. I listened to Opti about his macro takes, like, good job, Opti. You're actually getting better at your macro takes. Well, I've been doing a little bit of work. All right. And even though Tom Luongo and Simon Dixon aren't the only people that I look to for signals of what's going on geopolitically and macro, they, I think right now have two of the driving narratives going on. Whereas I could sum up Tom Luongo's take, which is what I essentially summed up yesterday, is what we're seeing and why Trump is saying that the dollar losing roughly 11% of its purchasing power is the dollar doing great, because it goes into this Mar-a-Lago Accord where, since we are the world reserve currency, the dollar is overvalued. It's really making us almost damn near impossible to do what we need to do to, quote, make America great again. And the idea of devaluing the purchasing dollar, again, the Mar-a-Lago Accords, is you're going to destroy the purchasing power, or rather devalue the dollar, lower interest rates so that you can onshore industry so that U.S. exports get cheaper, essentially so people buy stuff from us. And then further, it makes it so that we can, service our debt better. And in some sense, you're seeing that maybe what Trump is doing is an America first policy in terms of macroeconomics, in terms of economics, if this is what they're doing. Again, I'm just reading essentially what they're saying, what their policies are doing, and it does seem to be driving this America first economic policy. Hence why part of me is like, yeah, maybe Tom Luongo is right. Maybe what he's saying does make a lot of sense, that America, Trump administration is playing these macro geopolitical games, as we've been seeing with tariffs. We're scaring some countries with tariffs. We're calling them off. Causing a lot of havoc in the markets. Is this them trying to onshore industry into the U.S.? Literally in the same sense that Simon Dixon would say, weaponize the dollar, but for a America first economic policy. That's kind of one take here. The opposing take would be the Simon Dixon view, where it's essentially, Trump works for the financial industrial complex. He works for the bankers. His whole goal is to destroy the purchasing power of the dollar, to reduce America's unipolar stance here being the world superpower, to making it more of a multipolar world, making us a regional power. And therefore, we need to devalue the dollar so that we can do that, so that people will think that, hey, this is an America first policy, but in reality, we are losing strength and power on the world stage. Now, when you kind of combine these two ideas, it almost makes me seem like they are talking about the same exact thing. That there are people that are outside of purely economics that are looking at what Trump's doing, and they're very angry at the policies he's doing. You know, it's not America first enough for various reasons. When you look at it from an economic perspective, I am seeing both sides of the coin, what Simon Dixon and Tom Luongo are saying. It does seem like the tariffs, the devaluing of the dollar are very much bringing industry back into the U.S., making U.S. exports, you know, putting the cards in our favor. But at the same time, what Simon Dixon is saying as well is also playing out, that they are devaluing the dollar. And it just depends on what the angle is here. Is Trump working for the banks here so that it makes America a regional power, not a world power? I can see the angle on that. I can see the angle of Tom Luongo saying, no, we are driving industry back on our shores. This is an America first economic policy. But when you look at what Trump and Powell are both saying, it does look like they're both trying to essentially gaslight us into not looking at what our eyes and ears believe, or not looking at the markets clearly. From my perspective as a Bitcoiner, what I'm seeing in gold and silver, that is what you should be looking at. So the Powell gaslighting is insane. But then you look at the Dixon, it's like we are losing purchasing power in the dollar, hence why assets are ripping. So it is maybe a dichotomy. You got to hold two thoughts in your mind at once. And that really goes into the last point, which was the first video. One of the things that Tom Luongo has been saying for a while is that the battle we are seeing between Trump and Jerome Powell, or, you know, the Trump administration, the U.S. Treasury versus the Fed, is that we are trying to wrestle control from the Fed and bring it under Treasury. And the smoking gun yesterday was Jerome Powell essentially saying, hey, the U.S. Treasury controls the dollar, which constitutionally is correct. But for the last 100 years, it's been the Fed. So this is where I'm thinking. This is where, you know, I'll have to digest a lot of this information. I've been thinking about it last night. I had some time. Well, I really, you know, I'm trying not to get sick. But while I was dying, metaphorically, of course, last night, these were the thoughts I'm thinking. I'm like, wow, you know, Jerome Powell's speech did say some very interesting things. You know, who is more correct, Tom Luongo or Simon Dixon? I can see both sides of their perspective. And maybe now's the time when you want to go back and listen to those. And with some more information, the new information we've seen today, maybe we can have this discussion tomorrow. And, you know, we'll see what you guys think is going on. But we are seeing, as we've been saying for a long time, a monetary reshifting, a monetary reordering happen in real time. Now, really, it's probably what are the end goals and who's going to benefit? That is probably the most important question, or rather the more important question. But a lot of the stuff they've been saying, we are seeing signal out there that is, you know, making a case for both of those polar opposite views right now. This is where my head's at. This is what I've been kind of looking at. This is what I find the most interesting going on right now. Let's see. Actually, let me see. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And also, we might be getting most likely a government shutdown in a few days. So, dude, what a time. What a time to be alive. What a time to be alive, man. All right. Trump's controlled opposition. I see. Let me see. Anyone else? Anyone else? You guys are arguing about some other stuff. Dan. Yeah, this Zoomer is good. This Zoomer is on point. Simon Dixon, if he lived in the 1700s, the colonists stand no chance against the British Army. That's too funny, bro. That is too funny. All right. Anyways, we'll probably talk a little more about this tomorrow, but your boy needs to get off right now. I need to go get some Dayquil or something. So on that note, guys, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Let's get some good food in today. Take a nap. Everyone, actually, homework. Everyone take a nap if you can. Take a nap. Government is non-essential. We should shut them down for longer than 44 days. Probably shut it down forever. Okay, guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully I don't feel worse. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Today's show is a little shorter than usual, but your boy's struggling over here. All right. Peace out. It's your boy Opti. We'll be live tomorrow, roughly 12:40 p.m. I know I put the show at 12:16. Start time is 12:40. You guys know. Well, roughly 12:40. Anyways, peace out. Oh, wait, wrong one.
Today's episode was brought to you by BitcoinWell.com, a Bitcoin-only platform on a mission to enable financial independence.